What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 278 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, JR. Joining me this week, as always, why did I say joining me? It's stupid. Is my co-host, Alex.
Hi.
Off to a great start. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
I like your shirt. We're
Thanks.
going to get to that. Foreshadowing. Joining us this week is a really good friend of this show. Well, I mean, pretty good. How many
Thank
times
you.
have you been on? 20-something?
At least more.
Many.
Couple of times.
The
enough.
The star of his own new show now.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I'm sorry, Zach and Ken. You guys are stars too.
Yeah, we're all right.
Of local co-op fame, it is our best pal Colin.
Yes, what's going on, guys? Happy to be back on OMV, my favorite studio of all time.
Oh, shut up.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you for bringing me back to the mics, to the people. Feels great. Real great.
Is always fun when you come on.
I always have a great time, and the fact that I get to be on this one is indicative to how good of friends you guys are. Hooked me up, helped establish a media presence at ConnectiCon.
Boom.
This past weekend.
You influenced us to want to do more media.
Really?
I was like, oh God, look at Colin is on fire right now. it like not only with your show too, like with local co-op and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was like, hey, it's nice to have someone else in the business too, because then it lights a fire under our ass too, And then when I saw you were working at ConnectiCon,
I was going
you were on
hard.
the job,
So thank you. You guys really helped me out in a big way.
and that's why we're here today,
Good.
because ConnectiCon happened.
It did. I was there. I saw
and
it.
we went, and we saw. We've been hyping it up for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
With last week's episode, with Alex and I just kind of chatting about what we're going to do and what we're going to see, and then also talking about comics. Back issues. And then before that, we had Brent Peoples on, who was a featured comic artist at ConnectiCon. And did we hype any? I can't remember if we really did much hype before that, but still, it's our favorite backyard convention. We say backyard because it's literally from my house. It's 19 miles, which feels. I feel like 19 miles is a lot longer than it feels like. It's
just so anxious to get there.
Yeah,
You know.
Mm-hmm. It's like a 20-minute drive. Mm-hmm. You don't get slammed in traffic like we did, but it's right there, right in the capital of the Connecticut, the center of the city. It's beautiful. ConnectiCon. It happened. We went. Now we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Colin's like our ConnectiCon guy.
I love ConnectiCon, man. ConnectiCon is probably my favorite show. I mean, PAX is the best trip, Boston Comic Con, there's always the most to see, but ConnectiCon, it's so low pressure because there isn't as much that I'm overwhelmed with. Mm-hmm. So I get to just relax and hang out and just enjoy the spot that I'm in. We have a lot of friends that we only ever see at ConnectiCon.
Yep.
There's a lot of everyone who's there, it's really positive. Kind of run into the same groups, and it's just you go and there's the dancing people outside, and you can go sit on the stairs. There's a little cafe up on the top of the stairs, and I don't know, something about that aura is not the right word, but that environment,
the vibe.
Yeah, that vibe. ConnectiCon kicks ass. The cosplay is always awesome. The dealer's room is always nice and spacious. There's plenty of room to walk around. It's such an easy experience, and it's so easy to have a good time there,
A big thing I always notice is that I get as much entertainment out of the other guests as I do the show itself.
Mm.
Either people dressing up or people that have stuff to do, or they're excited about things and they're in cosplay. It's not always just about what the show has to offer. It's the people that go to the show as well. They bring a lot to the...
They do.
Yeah.
Everyone's hyped up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's with conventions with ConnectiCon and Anime Boston, because there are a lot of it's a big cosplay show,
Mm-hmm.
It's the people who go, it's because it's local and there's not other of that type of convention kind of as around. You know what I mean?
Near us, yeah.
Yeah. So like for them, like this is like one of the big trips of the year.
Mhm.
You know, it's not even necessarily a trip, but it's like, oh, I get to cosplay and be like surrounded by fans of the things that I like. So you get people like calling out like, oh, Sasuke, or they call it to like other characters I know, and everyone like becomes friends
Yep.
through the things that they love, which I don't think you get that same kind of deal at like Boston Comic Con. Like I think people they're a bit more focused, like we've got a bunch of shit to do, get prints and art and stuff.
I think last year or the year before, I would go collect a sketch from an artist at Boston Comic Con, and like there was a dude next to me who was also collecting his sketch, and like he came to our table to get a Brett Kelly sketch, and like this dude went around to everyone I was going to. Not like he was following me. We just happened to be on the same path, and he was getting all these Teen Titans and everything in a sketchbook.
I remember you telling us that, yeah.
And I was like, dude, you follow me again? And he's like, you're following me. I was like, no, you're following me. And I was like,
cute.
But seriously, I want to talk about your Teen Titans sketchbook. And he's like, all right, cool. Never saw him again.
Oh, bummer.
Yep.
You scared him off. God.
He's probably like, oh, you saw me following him. He knows.
But I get what you mean with like the vibe.
Right.
Like I really look forward to that show every year. And it's cool. Like if you go back and listen to the first year that Alex and I ever went to ConnectiCon, you'd be like, "What? Who is this?" Because like I was like, "Yeah, it was okay. It was whatever. It was a show. It was kind of boring. Whatever. Not a lot there." But like as I've aged, and like the vibe is a huge aspect of it. Like in past years when John went with us, when Joe went with us, which was I think probably my favorite year of ConnectiCon.
We kind of stole him on the way to go.
We did, yeah. We were hanging out with Joe, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we're heading to ConnectiCon. Do you want to come?" Like it was great, and it's just like it's not the biggest show in the world. It's not the most crowded, and it's not the most like star-studded and action-packed. But the atmosphere and just I enjoy just being in it.
Yeah.
A thing that I wanted to explain offline to someone else later on, because I have an acquaintance who doesn't enjoy the show, and I kind of want to. It's like your comparison of PAX, or when we go to PAX East. It's like, do you expect PAX to happen to you? Because if you stand there and wait for it, you're going to be let down. You kind of have to do some activities and put yourself out there. And
open it up, man. Play with it.
And yeah, and that's been one of our explanations of ConnectiCon in the past. It's like you got to try a little bit. If you just stand there and be like, I expect all the stars to entertain me and me to see all the things and it just to be amazing while I moved 2 feet in the lobby, it's not going to work out.
Right.
You get out what you put in.
Yeah.
That's the talk you gave me.
Yeah.
Like after the first year, because I was like, nah, whatever. And I was like, well, did you look? Did you look for anything? Did you try to hunt anything down that you might like? And I was like, no, like I shouldn't have to.
And it's one of the, like we're talking about, like the people that are there. And it's like, did you make any friends? Did you talk to anyone? Just try talking to 2 people.
That's the thing. It's a really social convention.
Yeah.
Like, it's so. I think just everyone is in like a really good mood, and that the location, there's like so many places to meet people, whether it's like the game room, like for tabletop games, the actual game room with like all the arcade, like whatever you do, you're gonna do alongside somebody else, incidentally or not. So when you're going there, like you can expect, you don't expect like, oh, monster guests or something, because they get some cool guests.
Yeah,
like don't get me wrong, but like it's like a very social convention.
So while we're on this note, let's stick to it. Let's talk about outside any rooms. Let's say lobbying, meeting people. Who did we meet? Who did we check out? What did we like? And like, did we find any cool cosplayers? Like you're saying, people that travel to the show.
Yeah.
And they might not know anyone else until they get on the Facebook page, and they go, all right, well, where's the event for the Overwatch cosplay photo shoot?
Right.
And then I'll see who else is going to be there, and it's like, oh, I see there's a cool McCree going or whatever. At the Overwatch cosplay photo shoot, there was only 2 Sombras. They both looked amazing.
Yeah, they did.
And like they had such similar get-ups, but like with slight tweaks and differences between the 2 of them. It's like, shit, I hope they're best friends.
They are now.
And like, I don't think they didn't know each other beforehand, but they each knew what each other has put into their outfit to make it look that good.
Yeah.
And I really dig that. And, that's the kind of thing where like you can go, if you're not cosplaying, you're going to rub elbows with other photographers while you're taking pictures. So like,
especially at photo shoots.
yeah,
or if you're involved
hey,
in a
what
photo
are
shoot.
you into? What do you make? And you'll get a business card or something, and that's your chance to like be social and make friends. So someone I looked up was the Metapod cosplayer.
Yeah.
Because there was a bunch of pictures. I saw him walking around, and I was like, "What? It's a green dude in armor. I guess that's neat." With I don't know what it is. And then I saw Colin had gotten a couple of pictures, and like, what do they call it with the moving
Boomerang.
the boomerang? You got a sweet boomerang of the shield, like the 2-part shield opening and
Oh,
closing.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what it is. Yeah, but that's still cool. And then later on, Jared got out his nice camera. He was like, "Oh, I gotta get a picture of Metapod." And I was like, "Is that what that is?" It makes perfect sense now.
Yeah.
I had to have it explained to me, like my handheld, like I'm a
there
child.
was a group, several groups of cosplayers who were Pokemon, but like Pokemon, like as other things.
Yeah.
Like like really beautiful dress, like a ball
Mimikyu.
gown that was an Umbreon or something.
There was one same deal, like a very nice like gown dress type thing that was a Mimikyu. It's on our. I got a picture of it from way up above on the 3rd floor.
There was that big old Magikarp.
There's the giant Magikarp that I got a picture of during Super Art Fight Unleashed, but it's like they weren't wearing it. It was off in the corner, and it looked
sad Magikarp.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn more about this Metapod guy. And so I looked him up on the Instagram, and I found him because he was like commenting on a few pictures of him, and he was like, "Can you tag me?" So if you go on Instagram and look up Savage83, he's a cosplayer out of Boston, and I asked because Colin had tagged him as Kamen Rider, and I was like, "I don't know what Kamen Rider is." And so when I asked him, I was like, "Is it Kamen Rider?" And he goes, "Actually, it's a mashup of Metapod and Guyver." And I was like, "Of course, Guyver makes sense." And you might have seen him before because he was also at Boston Comic Con last year as Alphonse from Full Metal Alchemist. He had the whole huge
that was a
metal
badass
suit.
costume.
The head came off, so you could run with Alphonse's head. It was crazy. Jamie Stone did his friends with him.
Oh, I remember.
And a friend of his was going to do a Pokemon Swarm, and one person was going to be a Caterpie, and another was a Butterfree, and he's like, "Dibs on Metapod."
Right.
And that's where he came into this armor. He has like a little prelim drawing of it. That was pretty cool.
It was really cool. He was one of the most imaginative. I really dig, because like I'm not a cosplayer myself. It's just not for me. I respect cosplay, but I'm not. I enjoy going to a show, just dressing jeans and a t-shirt. That's my bag. But like I like innovative stuff. Like I can respect a very well done. I am whoever from this show. Oh, hey, look, it's Vash the Stampede. He's got the jacket, he's got the glasses, his hair's
and the
sticking
gun
up.
and stuff,
Yeah, it looks good. But when you do like the little subtle thing, like I really dug. I think my favorite cosplayer of the weekend was Mario Negan. Just because like
with the hammer covered in barbed wire.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it could be really easy to just do Mario Negan. Oh, Mario with a leather jacket, whatever. But like the
and
fact
a scarf
that
or whatever.
he had the hammer, like that was still wrapped in barbed wire. Like I loved it. Loved that costume. he stole the show for me as far as like cosplay goes. I like things like that. Like it's like I can look at that and I know what it is and it makes me laugh and I respect the effort.
Mm-hmm. There was a good couple of groups of Team Skull.
Every time I saw them, they got bigger. There's more and more.
And there was a large group because they were going to go compete in the Masquerade and do like a team thing for the performance.
I hope they won.
There was a lot of them. Like I don't know if they were one giant group, but there was at least like 20 of them.
They seriously multiplied because the first time we saw them in the lobby, because like the lobby is like the cosplay go-to area.
Yeah.
You know, like it's where a lot of people get their photos, where they meet up with their friends. And like we're in the lobby, and I remember we were talking with Dave and Nichelle, the Herricks, along with Brendan, because he was in his giant Space Marine. Space Marine?
Yes,
Space Marine.
from Warhammer.
Yep.
40K.
We're talking with them, and then Alex was like, "Get a picture of me with Team Skull." And there's 3 of them. It was you
Yeah.
and 3 of them.
Yeah.
And the next time we saw Team Skull, there was like 7 of them. And then like we saw him up on the 3rd floor, and
that
there
was a
like
completely different group.
there's like 15 of them, and then we saw him going down from the 3rd floor, and there was like 20 of them like on the steps.
They were recruiting.
You can see the progression of pictures up on the OMV Facebook page, but like it's funny because Team Skull in the game is just like these guys are weird, but like when people cosplay, I'm all about them, love it. When they do this stupid, the posing and the dances, Team Skulls, man, like
Yeah.
just weird.
Did
Did you play the new Pokemon?
No,
Man, you
not
gotta
yet.
get on that.
Not yet. I'm gonna check. I want to see all the new Pokemon because I'm very curious. Some of my favorite cosplayers this year were there was a really good May that had her cryo gun was like loaded up with dry ice, and so it would like smoke, and that was like so badass to me. And she had like a drone that acted like as her little blizzard snowman guy.
Right.
I thought I was very impressed with that. All the divas with like actual like
A lot of
mech
different
suits,
divas.
like,
yeah.
like a balloon diva. I saw a balloon
Yeah,
Torbjorn.
I saw.
I
Did
didn't
you
see the
that? There's a
balloon
balloon
Torbjorn.
Torbjorn. Yeah,
I didn't
Yeah.
see it in person, but I've seen pictures posted to the site afterwards.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, cosplay it never lets me down at ConnectiCon because people like, I mean, shows like PAX and like Boston. I know I keep coming back to those, but those are just great examples of like big conventions, like bigger ones, and like the cosplay there is always like really good and well done, but less.
Yeah.
You know, like it's fewer. They usually work on them harder,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
like at ConnectiCon, it's just like everyone is in costumes.
Some of it's a bit more casual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff that you're probably not going to recognize unless you know the fandom.
Yeah.
Like the first year we went to ConnectiCon and everyone was dressed up as Attack on Titan scouts.
Yep.
So what is this? Everyone is dressed as it. Like everyone. And like even our friend Jess Barber was dressed up as
Was she there this year?
she
Yes.
was there. Yeah, I saw pictures. She was posting them mostly on Sunday, I think.
Who was she dressed up as? You?
I don't know
Don't
what
recall.
it was.
Yeah.
Curious. I'll go to our Facebook page and check.
I brought niece with me on Sunday,
Mhm.
and she spotted every single Yuri on Ice cosplay and took pictures with all of them. She also
Obviously.
spotted some good Zootopia, which also had our friend Bill and Emily. Bill was also in Aladdin. Bill got a pretty good picture as Aladdin sitting on his carpet next to the dude who was on his carpet that tied the room together.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw that dude. He was good.
Yeah.
Really tied the
I
room
think
together.
he's local because he does other shows as the dude too.
When you got a good dude, you
Right.
might as well.
Guest of the show, Joseph Quinn, pulled out his Soldier 76
Soldier.
again,
Yep.
but also the Game of Thrones shoot that we saw,
hmm
and I was like, "What's that with the wolf head?"
Oh, Rob Stark cosplay.
Right.
That was Joe.
That was Joe. Are you serious?
Joe was House Frey,
He was. Oh my
and he was carrying the Rob Stark.
God damn. Spoilers, by
Spoilers for the Red Wedding.
And so Joe posted a little story Sunday morning on his Facebook there, unpacking from the hotel room, bringing the stuff down to the car. I'm cradling Rob Stark's corpse in my arms, waiting for an elevator. The door opens. Julian Glover, actor for Master Purcell, standing in front of a credit elevator. He looks at me. I look at him. He looks at Rob Wins. Absolutely not, and shuts the door.
the way. Wow.
Yikes.
So those are some interactions you get to have when you stay in the hotel at the show of the show, because the other actor, the guests are there too, which Julian Glover, one of the guests, we'll get to later. But
Really kick ass. Really kick ass.
It's really good. And like we had the chance to. Did you go to the DC photo shoot, Colin?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was a lot of. I dressed up for a little bit on Saturday as Jason Todd, so I went to the DC photo shoot, and there was a lot of like surprise. And I pointed this out to everyone there. It's like, this is the most Robin representation I've ever seen, because it was like Nightwings
Yeah.
and Red Robins and Damians and like a bunch of Red Hoods. Like, it was really cool.
how did he become cool? Robbins. That's
Yeah, seriously.
Whatever.
It was a bunch of. There was a Wally. There was a Wally West, but like the
Okay.
the Flash television Wally.
Mhm.
and he had Heelys. So he
that's
they
funny.
were like, all right, everyone from Central City, and he like wheeled out, and everyone like lost their minds. It was awesome. It was really cool. And that's the thing, like you immediately, because you run your own shoot, pretty much. Like you guys, everyone's just like, all right,
Well, yeah, like someone. Usually, there's one person that had
yeah, who
organized
kind of
like a
guides
ringleader.
it, yeah.
and hopefully like is good at calling out characters
Right,
and
good
countdowns
pairings and stuff,
Yeah.
and like right from there, like you immediately like become friends with like whoever you're posting up with.
Before
like,
we started the day, you met another Red Hood.
yeah, like immediately, and then I ran into him at the shoot, and he was like, "Hey, man," we were together the whole time. It's really cool. It's a really cool that whole area of conventions is like really something to like be a part of. I mean, you've been man.
Remember when you guys made fun of me, calling me Hollywood? I wanted to go to the photo shoot. Remember when that?
I do.
I mean,
I do
in our
remember making fun of
defense,
you.
Hollywood is a kick-ass nickname.
I think that was the first one any of us had ever been involved with. But
But there's a lot of photo shoots throughout the weekend. We witnessed the Game of Thrones photo shoot out on like the main. That's one thing I also really dig about is the location. I love the building. I really dig that building, and I love the area that it's in. It's very friendly. There's restaurants everywhere. It's like 2 seconds from the highway. It's perfect.
There's like the food truck,
Food truck festival every
festival
year,
right
River
there.
Fest, yeah.
right by the river, so you can just sit on the
Fireworks.
river eating like just crappy food truck food.
There's
Love
like a
it.
movie theater right across the street.
Yep.
Like all of the nightlife is like right there, like but really condensed together. It's a really sweet spot.
And but yeah, we witnessed the Game of Thrones photo shoot. Got to see a lot of the Overwatch photo shoot as well. Like all the, just all the different just everyone's interpretations, and it's a good cosplay show.
I also found a May who's her Blizzard friend. His head turned, like on its own, like on its own motor and stuff, and his eyes blinked and everything.
What?
Yeah. You could find her on Twitch TV, Unsongverse. If you look that up, twitch.tv
Unsongverse.
/Unsongverse.
That's
That was-
badass.
She was a cool May.
I need to have a freaking sweet
That
costume
wasn't
like that.
That wasn't a pun on purpose.
Cool, May. So, I mean, the lobby, that's like your source for cosplay entertainment. You can
So
Well,
you can
we-
usually spot Victoria Miller.
We met some chick named Vicky. Some girl named Vicky who did Samus stuff, I guess.
Victoria Miller cosplay.
Who won one of the awards for
she got
craftsmanship.
second place in the advanced, I think.
No, novice.
No.
I thought it was first. Not all right. I'm gonna look it up.
Journeyman.
I thought it was second place in like the advanced one.
Yeah, she rocked it. She had the whole,
I thought she wasn't advanced because she hadn't won any awards before.
I don't know.
the whole
Can't
power
remember.
suit Samus was really kick ass.
It really is. It just that's one of those things that you almost feel bad for because you know she's never going to make it anywhere in the show.
Oh, because
Like
she can't
you mean
walk.
around?
Yeah. Oh, she's never going to make it around
Yeah,
anywhere.
it's hard for her to move from place to place because she's swarmed with photos.
JR, you
Yeah.
were right.
Boom.
Second place in advanced craftsmanship.
Boom.
What a badass.
But she's always a great time. Very positive person. Very fun to be around. Like, if you ever see her, don't be afraid to ask for a picture.
She loves pictures.
She loves pictures. After all the hours she puts into
She
those,
you shout pictures.
it's fun. It's good times. Cosplay. Good cosplay show that
Don't
ConnectiCon.
shake your head, Colin. That's what she does.
No, it was a facepalm.
Let's move to the game room,
Okay.
shall we?
All right.
Because
All right.
in past years, remember how small the arcade used to be?
Mhm.
It used to just fit on the landing in between the second and third floors. Remember that?
Like
Remember the-
five rhythm
like
games.
cabinets, yeah. You know where the karaoke
Yep.
was? That used to be where the arcade was.
Oh yeah,
The
I
entire
remember.
arcade.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, it was just there, and I was like, oh hey, there's an arcade. It's loud. And then over the years, it has just grown. Like the right, there's like a left and right side of the show. They always divide it.
Mm.
There's the main vendor hall, and then there's like the game room. The game room used to have a lot more tables. It used to be almost all tables.
Yeah.
A lot of tables just for eating. You could eat your food. And then I remember the very first year we went, there was just like, you know how they have like those high stanchions set up with the
Mhm.
curtains?
Yeah.
Like, remember the first year
The-
we went, and
the
there was
pipe and
just like
drape.
dozens of those,
Yeah.
just with tables, just empty tables.
Sometimes some of them had people.
Yeah, with like role-playing games or whatever.
Mm.
But like this year, it was like it was an arcade. I loved it. It had a lot of like, you see them a lot in like Japanese, arcades, like the smaller cabinets.
They call them Tokyo Attack.
Oh.
Or like that was the business
brand
and place
or
that brought them in. Yeah, yeah.
But they had a ton of like cabinets, like in the past, like they had the TV set up and you could play Nintendo
Yeah.
or Super Nintendo, and like Colin and I have played a couple of those in the past. We played the Naruto game last year. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
They had some of those out for free play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a lot more like arcade cabinets this year, which
They had
I thought
pinball machines.
Pinball
and pinball machines for
and they
free.
were free to play. That was the best. That was so awesome.
I can't remember the last time I played so much pinball.
They had the Ninja Turtles were there. The Tekken Initial D was there.
Yep.
That game room was sweet and like packed up like with so many things you could play. And I don't think we ever really waited to play anything.
Right, because there were so many options.
Because
Colin and I
there's
just
so many
walked
things.
up and sat down at a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet and just fought.
Yeah, you smoked me.
Well, once I learned how to do the specials, I just kept spamming it.
Who'd you
so.
use?
I was down to Zangief.
Sakura.
I used
You had
I used Sakura, Zangief, and Magneto. I can't remember,
I think so.
but it
Did
was
he just spam PD? What was that?
SPD?
SPDs?
no, actually, I
That's
don't.
spinning pile driver, Colin, in case you weren't sure.
I thought it was summary plan description. That's shocking.
Oh, work talk. There it goes. There it goes.
Yeah, I mean that game was sweet to play. I love watching the crazy import arcade cabinets.
Yeah.
That are like the absolute batshit like rhythm games that
All
like,
kinds of
you
stuff going
tap
on.
a
Yeah.
cube, or it's like it's just like a rolling machine that you like have to clap on.
Or
Did
like
you-
even
did
like
you
the
guys-
DJ one.
Did you see Super Table Flip?
No,
hell is
I've heard
that?
of Super Table Flip, but I've never seen it. I missed it.
Yeah. There was a spot where you could demo Super Table Flip.
What is Super Table Flip?
It's like it's essentially there's a table on a baseball field, and in front of you there's a table, and like the table is your control thing, and like you have to hit it, not like harder with strength, but like in time with the screen somehow, and you hit it a bunch of times, and then it goes faster, and then you flip it, and the table like flips up into the screen and everything. And then on the screen, like, there's a table in this baseball field, and there's a bunch of food and cake on it or whatever, and it flips across the field, and you want to try and get distance, I guess. I
It's
don't know.
almost like it's like the home run contest in Smash Brothers.
With a
Yeah.
sandbag?
Yeah, but with a table.
Obviously, yeah.
And
If you want to knock the table as far. There's some weird games, but they all looked so fun.
That's the thing. Like, I used to think that back in the day, it was Guitar Hero. Though that is the rhythm game. There's Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and that's where you try to keep the rhythm with the thing you're playing.
Yeah.
I had no idea that there was this whole like culture of rhythm games, and especially these games that seem very difficult. There are some of these games that seem impossibly hard.
Yeah.
Like I used to think DDR, which again another rhythm game, like DDR was like the one. And if like my you mentioned Emily, she's fucking ooh wow, I just dropped a hard one. She was great at DDR. I'd never known anyone who could play DDR to the extent that she could. So the first time I saw it, I was like, what is happening?
I learned of players who had to look up the steps online to the hardest levels because you can't
see them.
You can't follow them fast enough to actually do it. So you have to memorize the steps to do it when you finally get there.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
I've never really. I just don't have the coordination or the energy the patience to try and like learn.
I wanted to play the game that's like it's got like the sliders that it's like a laser tunnel that
Yeah.
you have to like. I'm like moving my hands back and forth. You can't tell because you were listening to this on
He was
headphones.
then
kind of DJing.
And there are people who are like really good at these games, and it's like first, where are you
When?
playing this?
Yeah.
When and where?
Like where did you find this?
All the instructions and difficulty levels are in Japanese. How are you reading that? Do you know
exactly.
Japanese?
Yeah, they're just like casually scrolling through like the Japanese menus, and
you
it's
just
like,
slide the dial slider in time with the pulsating green lights, and then move down the laser tube.
and
then-
even if you had the game at home, you still need the apparatus to play it correctly. You can't just play it on a PlayStation
the
controller.
apparatus.
You know, like it blows my mind, and I had no idea that these games even existed. And every year there's like 10 new ones. I'm like, well, what is this? Like
Yeah,
the
they're
cube
fun
one.
as hell. The cube one. What the hell?
I've
no
never
idea
gotten to
it
the
was-
cube one. Niece and I are kind of okay on the easy level of the bongo drum game.
Right.
Yeah, we could kind of do that one.
Is it the one that has the camera that shows you how bad you're doing?
No.
Because there's the one we saw that one guy playing, and it has a camera that like displays you on the screen.
Or-
So if you're good at it, you're probably like pretty badass. But if you're someone like me, it's just like a lot of
Just
jiggling.
like sweating and like out of control slapping things.
Story of my life, man.
Yeah, the game room is really, really fun.
The game room's rad, and it's like you mentioned, Alex, that like it's and this is real reporting.
I
here.
didn't see any fans this year. The room was kept really cool.
That's what I was going
And it
at.
was circulated. I'm sorry if I took that away from you.
Well, I was talking about our ace reporting here and how well circulated the room is, but it's true, man. That room was an icebox, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like thinking the lobby was okay, and then like going into that room for a while and stepping back in the lobby, it's like, oh, the lobby's like a gross sweatbox. The lobby was fine.
Yeah,
You go outside and it's like
instant
geo heat storm.
sweat. Yeah, but like the arcade room, which is full of cabinets, all generating heat.
People dancing and actively doing things.
Like my PS4 heats up my living room.
Yes.
You know, like not to mention all these cabinets, and like it was great. Like it was very comfortable. All these machines, like, and it wasn't like 5 lines deep or 5 people deep line or anything like that. Like Colin and I, like we literally just walked up to a cabinet, played a couple games. We walked up to pinball machines, like just played some pinball. Like we could have. I imagine the longest we would have waited for like initial D was like 10 minutes. But
So walking into that room from the lobby, you still have to pass a few tables, and they had demos.
right,
So like of tabletop games and board games, and like ones that either they have it on Kickstarter, maybe they will be on Kickstarter. I picked up a thing for Super PAX, which was like a political game about political games. And I kind of wanted to get to that, but he was demoing 2 games at the same time.
Right.
So one was about infectious diseases, and the other one was about super. Kind of the same thing.
so
But if you wanted to, you could check those out because those were separate from like the rent-a-game room and like the RPG room. And
yeah. There's a bit like when you say demo, it's like someone showing you this is
How
this
to
game,
play the game
play
and-
this
yeah,
game. Whereas like the rent a room, which I imagine we'll get to, it's more like I want to play that game. Let's go get that game and we'll play it.
Yeah. A thing I wish was handled better were the tournaments,
Right.
because none of the tournaments, none of them showed up in the schedule. There was didn't know where to look to find like a tournament schedule.
We were
for-
hunting the internet too for it, weren't we?
Yeah, couldn't find a thing. Not on the website until like you get to the show and you go to like the check-in area, and you see like, oh, there's a Tekken 7 tournament tomorrow at 4, and the sign up is $10. And I was like, ooh, but there's 4 things happening at 4 o'clock tomorrow,
Right.
so maybe I won't sign up for it. But I also don't know where to look up the brackets. Maybe if you told the internet what the places were, who got first, what do they win? Because like honestly, as much as it is like an internet show, there's internet celebrities, YouTube people, celebrities, it's anime, it's Japanese culture, it's all this stuff. There's a lot of video game stuff. But like, if I want to go play video games, I don't maybe provide some more information on that.
Right.
In the past, we knew when they were doing their Smash Brothers tournament. Because we were like, yo,
I'll keep my ear to the ground
I
when it
was
comes
like,
to Smash Bros.
we should keep calling into let them know when that is. But like, even like something goofy like a championship ceremony or something.
Even like
They did have the League of Legends regionals, I think.
right.
Yeah.
That was a couple years ago, right? But this year I don't remember seeing.
I
Any
remember
of that.
seeing League of Legends there. Yeah.
It was mostly like arcade stuff. In the past, where there was a lot of like just rows of PCs
Mm-hmm.
for like PC gaming. Thinking back, I want to go back and look through my old pictures, but like this year was mostly, it was all arcades, which I'm cool with because that's stuff
I'm
that I will
super into that.
Yeah, I will sit down and I will play that. Whereas like, oh, cool, it's a MOBA. I have never played a MOBA. I guarantee you, I'm trash at them, and I don't have any interest in that.
I feel like if there's better information provided, I would be more likely to report on the Street Fighter V tournament.
Right.
And be like, who's playing who, and like, what's their logins and their ID,
Yeah. Like
handles?
Any,
Is that
any
it, the
names that I
handle?
recognize at this?
Yeah.
What kind of competition is there?
But it was just kind
would
of
the
like,
White Shadow just smoke them all?
and it was like, I'm not sure what's happening among this row of tables, so I guess I'll just walk away.
Right.
Maybe I'll make an effort of doing that next year.
What else is in the game room? Was there anything else? There was good cosplay again in the game room.
There was a guy cosplaying as a character from an arcade game called Versus City, and he was playing Versus City as the character he was cosplaying as.
So the guy in, like the trench coat.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was really cool. I got a boomerang of that. I'll tag you in it to take a look.
I also took some quick video of Deadpool playing one of the dance games. Not a DDR, but it's one of the ones where like the camera captures you to make sure you're mimicking the moves you see on the screen.
Yeah, you follow the movements.
Yeah. And he was holding 2 tacos while he was dancing. And he was doing quite well. He was confident.
When in Deadpool.
Deadpool
Classic
knows,
Deadpool.
He knows how to dance.
Deadpool's gonna Deadpool.
Wonderful Deadpool.
The game room is also where they moved the celebrities to.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice. It was because normally there's in past years they've moved them around pretty much every year.
Yeah.
I remember one year they're in like the far left of the vendor hall. Last year they were at the back of the vendor hall.
One time they were kind of like split up in between.
Yeah.
There were some at the front corner and then a couple in the back, which just made lines ridiculous to travel.
This year they had them all in a row along the far left-hand side of the game room, which is an interesting choice, but I dug it. I didn't have a problem with it.
Well, none of the lines are going to interfere with the vendors now.
Exactly.
And there's enough wide open space throughout all the games to travel through.
I did really love that about the show. It was really spacious.
And I don't think any of no one really had like a ridiculous line.
Save for the Adventure Time voice actor, Jeremy Shada or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Finn. He's the voice of Finn from Adventure Time.
Yeah.
He was really popular.
He was mobbed.
Like, I didn't see his line like, blocking traffic at all, but he pretty constantly had a full line.
Yeah. Yep. Everyone else.
Anytime he walked by, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say everyone else had, 1 or 2 people, maybe up to a handful of people, hanging out by their booth, when they were there. A lot of the times they were off doing panels, which we'll get to. But it was an interesting spot. But I'm really cool with it because it was unconventional, but it also made good use of the space. Because we have been saying ConnectiCon is very spacious. It's almost like I get where some people could see it as a detriment. Like, wow, there's nothing here. This is a very open convention. There, I think I mentioned in the past, I don't know if it was ever on the show, but it's in a big building. Like the Connecticut Convention Center is big, and I'm surprised that they have it there sometimes because I don't know if the show necessarily fills it.
They have boat shows that only take up 1 floor of that place.
Yeah, it is a huge
with boats in them.
with boats. As I said, I love the building. I love the area. I'm glad. I'm on the side of I'm cool with it being open and spacious. I'm down with that.
I'd rather them have open tables to play games or to eat food rather than, let's knock out a quarter of these tables and bring in some cars. Yo, we'll get a Herbie the Love Bug in here.
Yeah.
We'll get the Joker cop car, which is a thing, I guess, maybe. It's from something. It's a cop car. It's Joker's written on the side. That's
take your picture with them. So
but no, you have tables to sit down and eat food at.
Right.
Because you ever try eating food standing up? Con food, no less?
It's miserable. It's
terrible.
misery. I hate eating when I'm uncomfortable.
They're big, giant circle tables. There's 10 chairs to a table. You sit down at one. There's already other people at it. What other people going to join your table? You just made friends.
Yeah. Even then, you don't even have to talk to them because the table's so big, you don't even, whatever. Game room was a highlight, though, for me. I enjoyed all the games. I enjoyed the amount of games, the diversity of those games, the availability of the games. Good stuff.
I had a question for you, Alex, because of all of us, you tend to separate or head off to go venture.
Mm-hmm.
Were you hitting a bunch of panels? What were you doing? Tell us about some panels.
Okay. I wasn't ready for that. Spring that on me.
Well, there's plenty of... the panel that I really enjoyed was the Women in Voice Acting panel that all 3 of us were able to attend. I thought that was really interesting. Just hearing about the process of being a voice actor was really, really cool to make. You can people ask questions like, the character that you like, say one of your lines, which is fine. That's cool. And there's a lot of fan service when it comes to that. But I really like them talking about like what it's like to do the work.
So
really interesting.
The one we went to, that was on Saturday at 1:30, and the Salamander room. Each room is like named after a thing. There was a unicorn room and a kraken room. I dig it. But there were 5 different ladies there, and with the 5 of them, you get all their different experiences. Because 3 of them live in like a popular, I think they're in LA or something.
Yeah.
They live in a popular city where they have an agency and an agent, and they go to a studio to record. While the other 2 kind of like live at home in the Midwest or whatever, and like they have their own home recording.
One
box.
of them lived in Alaska.
At the time. Oh yeah. And like they might know someone else who's like have a good ear for, they record music or they do sound and stuff. But like if they don't get to record with anybody, they just do it from their box and send in what they recorded. And so like there's a lot of differences amongst the panel. There's diversity. It was nice. But that consisted of Leah Clark, Jade Saxton, Michaela Moss, Cassandra Lee Morris, and Heather Masters.
It was great hearing each one's perspective, because a lot of the questions were, and it's so easy to, you just want to ask, how do you get into this? How do I get into this? What's your day? Do you have a job outside of this? Does it pay the like? And I remember when we had Keith Silverstein on a couple months back, like I was determined to not ask him.
How'd you get started?
I will not ask him how he got started
How
in
do you
business.
get started doing this?
Like, because you just want to know, because like it seems like such a cool gig,
Right.
Like.
But unfortunately, that's the question everyone asks.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Jesse, who does Pinky and the Brain.
Right. Yeah.
And like he gets that question all the time, and he just not only has like a list in his head of like, here's some websites you can research that on, because after a while they don't want to answer that anymore.
Doesn't really seem like that interesting a question. I mean, it's I like, how do you get involved? I like just more than what the process or like what in particular they love about a particular job that they had. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
There's
like, I figure people want to hear like, well, I looked into it, and like, you can hit the lottery too to get this job. Meanwhile, I've heard of a radio DJ, who talks to people who just got a broadcasting school, and like, well, I sent in a few tapes and I haven't heard anything back. And this guy's like, I sent 187 tapes before I got hired.
Even they mentioned at the panel, they were like, I can't remember which one said, but they were like, we'll send in 10 auditions in one day and maybe hear back on 2 of them. Like it's just, and they mentioned like, if you want to get into it, be prepared to get disappointed a lot.
Yeah.
Like I imagine there's like, even just landing like in an Overwatch game, like, man, it would be rad to voice something in Overwatch, but everyone else also wants to be in Overwatch, or a game of that caliber, like, and there's already the established, actors, and they also talked a lot about the strike too, which was interesting.
Yep.
To get an update on that, still, looking for.
I think the hashtag was performance matters.
Yep.
Yes.
I looked it up. You remembered it. I had to like search for it. Yeah, because if you listen to our Keith Silverstein episode, he explained a lot of it, and any of the voice actors who are members of SAG-AFTRA, they're essentially striking against 10 video game companies to get more transparency in auditions, so that they know what they're auditioning for. Because like the video game companies have been like wanting this air of secrecy, so no one can copy what they're doing or steal their product or whatever. And so it's like they want to know what they're gonna do for the day. Am I recording like a soft love scene, or I'm like screaming the entire time? It's like, what part am I getting? Is this like the part that I've had for the past 3 games, or am I generic soldier number 4?
Or what game is it?
Yeah, because then your agent can, bargain for your salary and your fee.
You're going to be in this game no one's ever heard of. Okay, whatever. You're going to be in the next Call of Duty that's going to sell 5 million pieces in the first 2 weeks. Oh, you're going to get the same salary.
It's the generic day rate, whatever. So yeah, they were looking for that. If you want to find out more, you could look up Performance Matters and the voice actor video game strike, which is really interesting to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to me I kind of dig it. It's like knowing that there's people who want to work, who are doing work and are struggling to do it because they're being held down by the man.
No.
Another note I want to make, as interesting as that panel was, like I just read off 5 names. I'm not sure if anyone knows who they are. I didn't know who they were before we were in the room because
I didn't, but it's also not. They weren't much of our focus. Like when they were,
yeah,
like because like the room was pretty much full.
it was, yeah.
There were a couple seats behind us that were empty, but still, like they had packed that panel room. It was a good. It was like a doubles, and it was. But like so, as they were going down the line, like I was this and this. Has anyone seen this? And like the whole room would start yelling and whooping and stuff because they knew what that thing was. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that I did not know any of the reference that they were in. It's kind of a bummer.
I knew
but
Morgana from Persona 5. That was pretty cool.
Right.
There was about 70 people in the room, and they liked, because one of them was also a director for other voice actors. So she would record, but then she would also, like coax performances out of other actors.
Right.
And there was a matter of being directed or directing your delivery and where they want you to be. Like, just giving simple notes is like, I'm really going to talk this out of you, compared to like, now faster, now slower, now angrier. You had a good question there, Colin. Do you remember what you had asked in that panel?
Yeah, I was asking about kind of what it's like in the booth like that, like how
Right.
often they get to act with people,
Mm-hmm,
and they were talking about how like, oh, if we're doing like a smaller independent animation, like we'll get to see everyone and we'll read our lines together.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something that's a bigger project, it's just you in a booth and they feed you what you need to say.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how do you get like a better performance out of, but if they're pros, they know what
Right.
they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the ladies was both Asuna and Lifa from Sword Art Online, which I was like, I had to look up which one's Lifa, and I was like, oh, it's the 2 like main female characters for the 2 halves. And the term boob taxi came out.
Yep.
Because there's like a fairy that is in the second half of the first season, and like they had a really deep, meaningful like character development. And then it's like, oh, the fairy's riding inside her boobs. She was a boob taxi, and she's like, I kind of wish that didn't happen to this character at that moment because we were really on a roll to make some positive
Yeah,
change.
it's interesting that because they could comment on like, yeah, our characters are often just like sexy,
Yeah.
not much arc there. So yeah, it was interesting. That I liked that panel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was it's hard to decide if I liked that panel or the Jamie Noguchi system panel. I thought that one was pretty sweet too.
Because we showed up on the last half of that. Colin and I unfortunately had to work on Friday, and we couldn't show up until later that evening. We showed up. We got there just in time to catch the last half of the Jamie Noguchi system panel from the guys of Super Art Fight, which is it was like a motivational.
It was
very motivational.
Yeah.
Like do the thing. When we had Jamie on,
it's a little confrontational too.
oh yeah. Like we had
in your face inspiration.
It was like calling you out on doing it. Like we had Jamie on a couple months ago, and we touched on the like the fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the website fuckingdo.it, I believe is what it is.
Yeah.
If I recall. And like we talked about like his system, like did you do the thing? No, well fucking do it. It's pretty simple. Like I think you can buy it on a poster. And
they had Ross doing a live PowerPoint.
yeah. Like with the steps, and like they take all the steps that you learned throughout the panel and they combine it into one long, what did we learn today? And like, here's the different things.
And once they did the intro, they would like ask the audience, like, okay, so who has something they want to talk about that they need to do, or I'm trying to, and whatever. And so it's like, if you raised your hand, you better be ready, because you'll have Jamie, and Marty and Brendan all like coming at, like, not in like a mean way, but it's like, have you done this? Have you done this? Can you try this? Like, here's all your steps of like maybe eventually to get to F and do it.
It was intense.
One of my favorite was like,
It was awesome.
Jamie was like, oh, do you play video games? The guy's like, yeah. And Jamie goes, stop. There's your time. You just saved yourself so much time to do the thing.
It was fun.
They had a success story. because a woman who was at their last year's method panel did the thing. And she wanted to have dog and cat stuff, toys and knickknacks and little
Nerdy
bandanas
animal.
and nerdy animal things. And there wasn't any good nerdy stuff. So she decided to make her own, and she had a booth at this show. My Nerdy Pet. Chalmers bought this piece.
I threw money at her.
JR bought what was it, a Batman bandana?
I snagged a Batman
scarf.
bandana for my dog from a big old goofball. My dog Clyde. Clyde looks real good in it, by the way. Yeah, I bought that. Follow on Instagram too. My Nerdy Pet. Tag Clyde in it. No big. It is what it is. Looks real handsome.
I went to a comic book Q&A panel on Friday at 4 because the Team 4-Star 18 and over panel was full. They put that in the room that was too small. There was still a heck of a line wanting to get in, but then like the Q&A panel for the comic book thing was like 20 people in it, and the room sat at least 200. So they could have. But there's also more doors to guard to make sure you have your wristband on to prove you're over 18.
Right.
But a couple guys that have worked on Turtle stuff were there. A guy who runs a small print publishing company, and some guys that are making their own books. That was kind of neat to sit into. But there was also other fans who like didn't know why they were there. It's like they wandered in and saw some dudes in the front, and they introduced themselves. And the guy's like, "Whoa, you made turtles?" And the guy's like, "Yep, I did all the lettering for the turtles." And he's like, "Man, thank you." And I'm like, "What? You didn't know this? Who this guy is?" Like, I was hoping for better quality questions then. Whoa.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
they
kinda
probably saw the panel in the program, right? What? What's so funny? Oh, that's right, because nothing was listed in the program. One of my few criticisms of the show would probably be with the program, because I didn't know when anything was happening. I mean, you could go down the panel line and take a look, like, what's this panel? What's this panel? I don't know what that means.
On the outside of each room.
Yeah, on the outside of each room, it has a listing of the panels, but some of them, if I were to go, like, if I didn't know who Jamie Noguchi was, and you saw the Jamie Noguchi system at whatever o'clock on Friday, what does that mean? Like, you know, in previous year, like, I can't remember if ConnectiCon has ever listed it in the program, but like, again, when you go to like PAX, you flip through. Oh, what's this panel? Oh, this panel's happening at this time. Here's a short description. Let's go check out Movies with Mikey. It's a thing talking about movies with Mikey Newman, who worked at Gearbox, and blah, blah, blah. And featuring Chris Straub from blah, blah, blah. Like, I knew what I was getting into.
Some shows have a separate schedule that they print out and like kind of like put the paper in the program.
Right.
Yeah, it's in the back. Like, here's all the panels we
Yeah.
just listed. Here's what they are.
Yeah.
But in modern years, some conventions have stopped printing out paper schedules because everyone's holding their smartphone. So just use the app. They have some kind of way to put it on one of the apps, and you can download the app and watch the app.
We relied on Alex for the weekend to tell us what we were going to go see, or to bring up things, and he would say, "How about this? How about this?" And we'd kind of vote on one, and then we'd go to thing. But
you were saying there wasn't like panel descriptions in the program either?
it was just the names of the people.
Here's who
were
the
there.
celebrities are, and here's what they've done.
There was a map. There was the names of the celebrities and their bios.
Here's some ads.
A
maybe.
couple ads. I would have brought it, but I was an idiot and forgot that I was the only one who grabbed one.
I was looking at my phone the entire time.
Yeah. But
Never picked up a physical thing. Which now I'm trying to go back and forth between my notes and then go back to the app to see who was in that panel. And back and forth. There was a artist sketch off Saturday morning with Steve Giger, Brent Peoples, and Guy
Gilchrist.
Thank
Gardner. Oh, Gilchrist.
you. That's pretty cool. They answered a few questions. Steve Geiger's wife was kind of doing the moderating for it, and then about halfway through, they all got up and started doing some drawings as well. I think they each drew Batman. While still answering questions and whatnot. That was kind of fun to sit in, to see these three guys
That sounds fun.
each answer questions. there was a guy behind me who asked, like, he's essentially was, I'm a writer. How do I find an artist to art what I wrote? And he's like, what do I do for that? And like, they had a few answers, and but the best thing that came up was like, you pay someone. Like, don't ever offer, oh, when it goes big, you'll get paid on the back end.
Offer exposure.
Yeah. Once it really hits, then you'll get paid. It's like, you're never going to find a good artist that way. You start paying them when you start. You raise some money and make my thing, please. But another tip he had was cater to the artists well enough. It's like, don't find a guy and the first thing you give him is, it was night in the bicycle graveyard that was 100 miles long in the rain as the zombie horde approached. And like I'm like laughing on the end of my row. And he goes, no. What you should do is you start with, so Itchy says it's scratchy. That's what you give him. So that was fun. Like, coming up with the scripts. And then I told the guy about digital webbing, which I don't know if is a thing anymore. I know it was active a few years ago. I went next door to see the Game Design 101, which was really like the most school class-like panel that I'd seen. The guy was giving a very like step-by-step process of like, if you want to design games, here's things to think about before you even like design a thing.
Interesting.
He went over things like heuristics. I don't even know if I spelled that right. Noise to signal ratio. When you want to pitch your thing, you have to make sure your signal overcomes other things' noise so that yours gets out there better. You have to know what you're pitching and to make it the most efficient, and make your game more distinct from other games, and what the player takes away from it, your own professionalism. And because he teaches actual classes on game design and everything. And he's like, the number one thing is professionalism. If you send an email to pitch your game and you didn't spell check it, I'm not going to read past the first line.
Yep.
It's that
That's
easy.
true.
Yep. I did get to the Team 4-Star panel on Sunday. There's about 120 people in there. A favorite episode question did happen. Because that's one of the things of like, it's the how'd you get started? Who's your favorite character? What's your favorite episode? And they all decided that Gohan is totally a Hufflepuff within that world.
Interesting.
There was a Creating Cool Creatures panel on Sunday with Scott Wegner from Atomic Robo. And now I'm going to switch to the app so I can go look up instead of just having it on a schedule in front of me.
We also hit the presser, too.
Mm-hmm.
On, while Alex looks, we not briefly, went to the entire thing. There's the press junket on Saturday morning that we went to. Just a couple of the, guests of honor came in, we got to ask some questions. They would answer the questions. First one was Sylvester McCoy, right? Sylvester McCoy?
Yeah.
From Doctor Who. He was the fourth?
No.
Seventh. Seventh Doctor Who. He was was fun.
He was also Radagast the Brown from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I didn't know he was right. I guess that was cool.
Yeah.
He was a fun guy. Very cheerful.
Classy.
Very classy. Like, answered questions that I'm sure he's answered a dozen times.
Mm-hmm.
But he was very.
He did a lot of stunts early in his career. So he would like fall down a lot and do
No,
things.
he's messed up.
Well, when someone asks like, is there stuff you haven't done? He's like, I've never done ballet, and if I wanted to, now I can because my ankles are fused.
Yep.
He's like, I can't point. He was untrained. He just kind of like he just started acting at 27. Dude was loaded with jokes. As far as like roles that he hasn't done yet that he wants to do, he's like, I've done everything. I've done every Shakespeare character. I've done Doctor Who. He's like, maybe if my next role, I'll be Richard III's hump.
Got jokes.
And when they ask like, what's your favorite role? He's like, the one I'm actively doing, my current role, even though it feels like I'm betraying all my past roles. He would like to see Doctor Who made mysterious again, because he pretty much called Doctor Who a superhero, but he's smart and he's not a trunks on the outside, his trousers, which trousers. He's not just some young strong dude, and he's like he should be like he's the intelligent superhero, which he really digs.
That's
And,
pretty cool. It's a cool way.
And
of putting
it was funny meeting Matt Smith because Matt Smith is like an old person in the body of a young person. I think he called him like a golden retriever of a human.
After Sylvester McCoy, we had the pleasure of listening to Martin Kleba speak. Martin Kleba from Pirates of the Caribbean. He played Marty, I believe was the name. Big advocate, for little people and getting them, the roles they deserve and so on and so forth and recognition. He was fun to chat with. Did you have notes?
I don't know things about him. What? He was an actor and a dancer on Broadway. He performed in Wizard of Oz across Broadway and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He was also Alvin when Universal Studios had Alvin and the Chipmunk Show. And it's when he was at Universal where stunt dudes were like, "Hey man, come start. Let's try some stunts." And that's where I started doing stunts too. He's an advocate for
That's pretty badass.
this international adoption agency because in other countries, let's say like China, if the baby's not born perfect, they just want to get rid of it, and so this agency essentially like tries to get the child to get adopted by American parents, so it'll still have a chance of living and being raised.
Right.
Because like even if there's little person a couple here, I'm not getting it right. But if they have like dominant genes, and like their baby's not going to survive, so they could still have a little person baby from a different country that they could raise.
Right.
And so his agency is basically working on getting this awareness out there and trying to facilitate
very cool.
these adoptions. And he loves the police. His like jacket was covered in police pins.
Like covered.
I believe his grandfather was a cop, and he ended with a quote of "Live for today, don't worry about tomorrow, because you can't change yesterday."
In case you were wondering, that quote is also listed on his IMDb page.
Really?
Yeah. I was checking out like the different people who were there, and I got to his page to see what he was in, and that's when you look under trivia, it says like personal quotes. That's there. Yep.
He was super. Even if you pass him like in the celebrity alley, you're like, "Hey man, great work," and he's just happy to be there. Cool guy.
It was cool.
Cool.
And like was really happy to answer questions and like talk about his activism and everything. That was great.
And the press junket was closed out by voice actress Courtney Taylor. Very similar to the the women in voice acting panel. Talked about getting into the business, what it's like, the roles, things like that. And then she had a panel like right after too. So
Yeah.
she just kind of hung out. She's like, if anyone wants to keep hanging out, I'm also doing a panel now, which is convenient for her schedule.
She was cool because it's funny seeing like an adult talking about their career and being like, "Oh, I was totally a punk rock kid who went to shows and would skateboard." It's like this lady used to like skateboard. I'm like, I'm not saying she was old, but in the time of when she was young, like women didn't skateboard, And then she was talking about how like, "Oh yeah, I ran my own boxing gym." It's like you owned a boxing gym.
Sounds awesome.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
She was talking about like she wanted to start getting tough and strong and scary and defend herself. And like it was kind of neat how she explained some of it too, because like she explained it with like she didn't take herself too seriously. We were talking about like her history and her backstory. She was like, "Yeah, I came a little unglued about a guy cheating on me." I'm like, unglued.
Badass.
And so like she started going to this boxing gym, and then like later on would start teaching dudes how to box and everything. So that was great. Another funny takeaway, someone asked about bloopers, and she in her quote was, "There are engineers all over LA that could bury me." Because like they might just keep recording throughout like whatever warm-ups you're doing. You're warming up, or like you're just saying whatever and like to get your voice ready, and you might say something that's funny that you think they're not recording, but they are.
The arsonist has oddly shaped feet.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Bank loan.
The Creating Cool Creatures panel was Scott Wegner from Atomic Robo, Tessa Stone from Not Drunk Enough, Is This What You Wanted, and Yuko Ota from Johnny Wander. And they were all a lot of fun. They were like giving examples of creatures they had made and what their background was and how to make them look like that. In a past interview with Scott, we talked about Robo, who's a robot, and he can really only express through his eyes. So he has these 2 eye flaps, and that's almost all he needs to express what Robo was feeling. But then there's also a dinosaur anime character who's like a Muppet, so he basically has mouth closed, mouth open, and something in between, and that's the only way that can express. And so
That's
like
really interesting
so now-
thing to discuss.
Yeah, so now like you're drawing a comic book, and you have to draw these characters in 100 panels to a paperback or so.
How do you like put expressions on something
Yeah.
that doesn't have expressions?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Do I make this robot wear clothes?
Yeah.
Or so those were some neat things. These are the ones that I actually went to.
Those are all the panels that I attended. You were like a panel machine this weekend.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I want to make sure I learn things.
I wasn't
You
expecting
did.
to say
You did
something
the
like
learn.
that. Yeah.
Back
What
to my
about
notes.
I'm stalling to make sure you don't have any more panel talk because I was going to move to.
Yeah.
Okay. The vendor room, the vendor hall, which I'd say this year easily we spent the least amount of time in the vendor hall
Yeah.
than previous years. Normally that's like the go-to. Like, let's go wander the vendor hall again because you can never see anything in one pass or never see
True,
everything in
true.
one pass. It's just one of those things where there's always stuff to see. There's always new vendors and also old vendors from previous years, and also vendors that you see at other shows, like Blonde Swan, which we see at PAX every year, and which we see at Steampunk World's Fair every year. And I point out to Colin every single year. That's
He
where I
does.
got my goggles.
Yep.
Every single
Every time.
regardless of what show, because for some reason in my mind I always think like he obviously does not know this. He needs to know. So
Next time I'll get goggles.
you should.
Some
That
gags.
I agree.
Some you gogglies.
you need some gogs because when you go to World's Fair with us next year, you're going to need to
That's
fit
what
in.
I'm saying. I need to get a Mark B. Donnelly cane when I'm there too.
It's true.
As long as you don't put your goggles on your top hat. Don't you dare.
I might now.
Nope.
Don't even joke about
I'm gonna
it.
put them right on my
It's not,
hat,
it's not
We're
funny.
going to have trouble.
just so like my hat can see.
I will light you on fire.
You won't.
Wow. There's a lot.
So
happening.
vendor
Because
room.
my top hat is flame retardant. It's like a helmet of armor.
You need a fancy Victorian techno term for that. We'll come up with that later. So the vendor room.
Yep.
Flames.
They had a lot of the usual. You could buy your manga. There were some spots you could buy your comics. You could buy your Pocky,
You can buy your statues.
some statues, some figures, some swords, some masks,
Some badass swords.
some hats.
Oh, they were sweet.
Um,
No?
they had the arcade games, like
The old games?
the claw machine kind of things.
Mhm.
Oh, they're new. They're not old.
Well, no, they had like, you could get like, I was shopping through Super Nintendo games.
Oh, that kind of yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like you have to buy a token, and then you try and like win a prize.
Oh, that's cool.
it's
I didn't
like
see those.
it's like a weird clock. Those were all lit up and everything.
You feel like,
there was-
I feel like I would have saw
There
it.
was usually a line. There
Oh,
was like
maybe
a group
that's
of
the
people
case.
watching and like trying. There was a lot of
Yeah.
what do they call it? Armchair jockey, armchair quarterback. There's a lot of quarterbacking of like, no, go up higher. You're gonna miss it.
Bastards.
People trying. So like, and I was looking at some of the Facebook comments afterwards. Some people had no luck at all. Some people it was real easy for them to win stuff in that.
What kind of stuff could you win?
There was definitely like the figures of the anime girls, and there was Pokemon keychains in a different one,
Huh.
and there was like anime like characters on a wallet or something like that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck.
But yeah-
I wish I saw that.
But you had to like it's $2 per token. You had to buy a token from
Oh,
the cashier.
still. Sounds like you could win stuff that's worth more than the $2.
If you could get one of those figures, yeah, because I think the Kota Bakuya figures that like are of comic book characters that I see at the comic shop, they average like $60.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not sure what the more anime like classic Japanese ones are. But
Those are cool too.
yeah,
I saw one of the cool things that I saw at the in the dealer's room was like they have a bunch of those Funko Pops, because everyone has those Funko Pops.
Yep.
And I found a Farah, which they don't make anymore.
Really?
And it was $85. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this. Oh, maybe not. I
No, I'm not.
was like, oh, Ken. I was like, oh, sorry, Ken.
I saw a foot tall Vegeta for $120.
You saw what?
A foot tall Vegeta for $120.
Wow,
Okay.
that's taller than actual Vegeta.
Damn.
Good one.
Burn.
Nice.
Got him.
Super Saiyan. There was.
He is a Super Saiyan. Good point.
You know what I saw a lot of? Mystery bags. Those became real popular,
Mm.
but I'm not sure how well they sell. I feel like I wanted to ask.
It's a really cool booth. Did you see the pocket watches?
Pocket watches.
Really cool stuff. Like, and they had like,
With like the jewelry things, or
yeah,
okay, yeah, probably.
And it was like, oh, these are like, you know, the classic type pocket watch, but they were
Right.
all custom made, so it was like a Slytherin.
Oh, yeah,
up
yeah,
above
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff. But then it was like this row is all like licensed stuff, so it
Mhm.
would be like the State Alchemist's pocket watch from Full Metal Alchemist, or like
A Death Knell pocket watch.
yeah, something
yeah.
like really like, oh, this is the pocket watch from this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Really cool. But I liked that spot.
Mhm.
That stuff was really cool. They always have some interesting thing, like mashing two cool things together is always a cool idea.
When I was there with niece, she tried out some of the tablets and the Photoshop drawing that because the Elms College had a setup where you could try out some of their technology art things that I have no idea what to do. And Denise just starts drawing on it. I was like, I don't know how this kid is doing this. But you could also, there was a big screen set up facing like, you know, the aisle. So you could watch what other people were drawing. And then once you were done, if you wanted, they would print it out for you to keep. So it's
I
kind of
like
neat.
that. That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff like that is awesome.
Interactive, and also like, hey, go to the school maybe. Learn if I don't know how to do it, I could go to the college and figure it out. There was DVD sales or Blu-rays
DVDs,
now.
manga. There's comics there too.
A lot of T-shirts. So we didn't make many laps there, but niece Megan made at least 5 or 6 laps because she was desperately looking for Yuri on Ice products. We
Has she ever been to Anime Boston?
No,
Should take her next year.
maybe.
You should.
We'll
It's
see.
cool. It's tense.
She does fine here at ConnectiCon.
She would freak out.
She did see some Yuri jackets for sale if you wanted to cosplay Yuri from Ice. Yuri on Ice.
Yuri from Ice.
He's
That's good.
from the Ices. But towards the other end of the vendor hall is also more like an artist alley where you find more of the people that make their own things. That's where we would find our own Brent Peoples and Guy Gilchrist and Steve Geiger, which I didn't realize how much classic stuff Steve had done. He had some good 80s, 90s She-Hulk and Punisher and Hulk stuff.
Ooh.
I'm looking at like his prints, and I was like, I have the Hulk issue where somehow Green Hulk is fighting Gray Hulk. Why do they separate? And are they going to reform? It's like, what happens when one of them
I gotta
wins?
read this again.
Why is there 2 Hulks? So that was
That's
neat.
too many Hulks.
I was telling Jared about that situation. So Geiger's wife was there as well. And she was like the pitch woman. Because he would sit behind the table and be ready to draw and sign stuff. But she would kind of like catch you as you're passing by, say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and go to shake your hand and introduce herself. And then introduce him. And then be like, what are you into? What characters do you like? And for some people, it's like, I don't like confrontation. I'm just going to leave.
I'm socially awkward. Because that's me. Like,
Right.
I'm the type of guy who, like, I'm going to come up and I'm going to awkwardly say, hey, and I'm going to look through your stuff, and if there's something to dig, I'm going to say, oh, that's rad. Can I buy this maybe? Because I'm really bad at, like, making small talk. Like, how'd you come up with this idea?
Yeah.
Because I just immediately feel like they don't want to talk to me.
And then when you're done, you just go, thanks. And then
Yeah.
I just want to leave now.
Yep.
However, if you do want to be interactive, but you can't get that start, you know, like if you're too shy to open with your hi and say, hey, that's Hulk, huh? Having an outgoing person to help draw you in to get the ball rolling is nice as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
That helped. They're also very negotiable. Because as I was flipping through, he had some pencil sketches of his work that you could buy as prints, but also the fully inked version and then also the colored version. So you had your options of which one you wanted to buy. He had a double-page spread of like the history of Doc Samson, which I was drooling over. It was real good.
Are you a Doc Samson fan?
Lot of Doc. I dig Doc Samson. Our friend Joe does too.
I knew that about Joe.
Yep.
I knew he liked
Yep.
Doc Samson.
Because Doc, he's a super strong kind of Hulk guy, but he doesn't turn green and ugly. But he was also a therapist.
He's got super green hair.
His hair is wicked green. But he's the guy who'd be like, instead of just raging and punching you, he'd be like, "What was your relationship like with your mother?"
Did you know
was great.
that Doc Samson is already in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yeah.
And he's in The Incredible Hulk. That's pretty nice.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that who Betty was dating?
Yeah, the Modern Family dad
Yeah.
is Ty Burrell. I want to say is his
Uh-huh.
name. Yeah, I doubt he's coming back.
It's a shame.
But Doc Samson is a cool character.
Oh, but I was looking at these pages, and they noticed how hard I was looking at them, and they're like, "Yeah, they're not for sale. He's gonna keep those."
Man.
But she gave me the option: if I wanted to buy the print, they could go through this process of scanning them and making sure the lines are dark enough to make a
That's
print of
pretty
them.
cool.
Yeah, and she's like, even through that, like, there's a lot of errors that we're gonna have to print out and get rid of to make these ones. Next to him, we already mentioned Brent Peebles, but I decided to get a sketch from him. And that's one of those things that we talked about before with artists. When you want to get your sketches, you usually have to negotiate. And so I was like, so I'm thinking of either Bizarro or Lex Luthor in the power armor. And he was like, it's been a long time since I drew Bizarro. So what kind of Luthor are you thinking of? Like the new armor or the classic? I was like, definitely classic armor, like the green and the purple.
Yeah.
And so he did that for me. I picked it up the next day.
What color is his armor currently?
It's like a blue.
Really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, because like with Superman gone, he kind of takes over for Superman, and he wears the S now.
Would it be, how fucking funny would it be if you were like, all right, I'll come back for it. He's like, all right, I'll give you your Lex. Then you come back and it's Jesse Eisenberg.
Oof.
Not even funny.
Oh,
It's,
that's gonna do it for this week.
Just like, oh yeah, I put him in the power armor, but also he has his like white blazer on and long orange
And he has a
hair.
speech bubble that says the red cape or the red capes are coming. Is that what he says?
Like holding a jar of piss. He's like, here's your Lex. That's $250, please.
he's holding a kryptonite scalpel and be like, "We just discovered kryptonite and have no idea what it is,
If
but I know
I-
how it works. I guess."
If I commission that for you, would you hang it up?
Would I punch you in the throat first?
But would you
Oh.
hang it up?
If I let you punch me in the throat.
Yeah, if you could punch me, would you hang it up?
If the options are a throw punch or I just set it on fire, like which would you rather?
Throat punch. Would you hang it up also?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
What if it was drawn by like
George
Mike
Perez.
Mignola?
Mike Mignola.
Like by a really good artist.
Yeah, yeah, like someone you really
Oh,
admire.
hey, Jim Lee, come here.
I got this. Just stay with me.
I got this idea. Lex, classic,
So-
badass, armor, looking tough. Jesse
Eisenberg.
Eisenberg's face.
One of the biggest things that we should probably touch on before we end, because we are a little bit over here. Oh, you got more things here.
I do.
Yeah, touch on this. Touch on some more things.
Okay.
Touch on them.
So we discovered Ben Bishop. I liked his stuff. He drew a bunch of Turtles things. He had a neat offer for his sketch cover, which was like a book that he had printed of his Batman and Teenage Mutant Turtles Adventures crossover, where he had it printed so the back cover is the sketch cover. And so I got a sketch from him.
Oh, that's where your sketch is. That's dope. Can I see it?
Yeah,
Take a look.
yeah. And I asked because like again, it was like kind of a negotiation thing because I knew I wanted something from him, but I couldn't figure out what. And then he showed me he did a Batman book, and I was like, all right, we're on it. So let's see if we can put Raphael and Mr. Freeze together on the same cover. And he was like, yeah, I'll do that. I also bought the aggregate, which he made, I believe, pretty much by himself, except for Brittany Peer was a colorist. It's like a choose your own adventure graphic novel. You read through and you make choices, and this is like this to continue to stay in this room, go to page 247, but to run out the door, go to page, whatever. And then it also comes with a bunch of bookmarks, so you can hold all your places of where you made your choices. That was kind of neat. That's not something I haven't seen in person before. I wanted to check that out. I bought a print of a space helmet boxing glove, plants growing out of the helmet print.
Of course.
I saw it, and like there was some more commonly found items that you would see at the show, like prints of anime characters or like really pretty cutesy kind of things. And then I saw this boxing glove space helmet, and I was like, tell me about this. And she goes, I didn't really have a purpose. I just drew what I wanted to draw, and that's what I ended up with. And like there was a longer conversation than that, but that was really cool. That was Sarah Alpha. At that table, she shared with Mara Jane, who's a colorist for Black Mass Studios and Action Lab, and Jude Vigance. They're all freelance illustrators based in New England. We could find Mara on IG at Mara Jane, and on Tumblr as MaraMakeStuff.tumblr.com. There was a donation jar on their table, and that was Mara's idea, as well as 20% of her profits went to the National Parks Foundation, because it's important for artists to recognize their responsibility and give back to the causes they're passionate about.
Respect.
Yeah, those were all cool. And Sarah has a Kickstarter dropping in August for enamel pins, which we're pretty big fans of pins here.
What? No.
#Mipsters is where the proceeds will be going to. It's a group in Boston that works to showcase creators and artists of color. And you could follow the news on her Twitter at The Foofinator. That's FOOF-inator. So that was, and then Megan bought stickers of Voltron characters with cat faces on them.
Nice.
Well, yeah.
They're all Voltron.
What else would you buy?
So
You were saying, Jared?
I was gonna say it would be a terrible, terrible shame if we did not mention some of our favorite vendors being the crew from Super Art Fight.
Oh yeah, 100%. These guys are the best.
It doesn't feel right until I've thrown money at them. At least one of them.
And it's not enough to just call them vendors, because they're also entertainers.
Exactly.
We can't really call them panels. They do shows. They do performances.
They put on a show. It's been a long time since the first time we saw them at Voltaire's Wicked Necro-Comic-Con back in 2013 or whatever that was.
Necro-Comic-Con?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're correct.
I know I'm there. I know.
Necronomicon, I thought.
No, it's Necro-Comic-Con. Voltaire's Wicked Necro-Comic-Con.
It only happened once. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's moving on.
Necromicon.
That's where we saw Super Art Fight for the first time, thinking, what the hell is it? I remember when we were walking into the room, the first time we saw them, it was an Unleashed show. And like it was, you got to be 18, you got to come in.
We were in the front row.
We were in the front row, and like Alex was like, I kind of want to check this out. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I had no idea what the
description of the program seemed kind of interesting compared to everything that was going on.
And Alex was like, do you want to check this out? We don't have to. And I was like, no, we can. We might as well see something while we're here. And then, the rest is history. Those guys are great guys. They make really cool shit. In addition to putting on great shows, each of them individually makes unique things aside from each other, like individually from each other. Like, a couple years ago, I bought a bunch of Mike Brocco's books Novo, like his comic that he put out a couple years ago, and then I've bought
ties,
and then snagged some merch from Jamie Noguchi, snagged some merch from Ross Nover with the project that he's doing currently. You're actually wearing one of the products, like literally right now.
I am. It's Ross's thing. I really had to look up, which. Coming into this year, I was like, I want to throw some props to Ross because he gets made fun of on the show all the time.
He sucks.
I was just gonna say Ross. Me too.
That's one of my favorite shirts that I own.
Yeah,
is the Ross Sucks baseball tee. It is comfy as shit, and it also, states the facts. And
it looks good. It states the
#RossWatch.
Vicky got a good one.
She did. I mean, I think mine last year was pretty good. But his project was putting out a lot of stuff. You could find it on benice.shop. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a lot of positivity. There's like stickers and a poster that says, "Let me be perfectly queer." Jared bought, what was a patch for
CEO of my lady parts
business?
Lady business. Yes, I bought that thinking of my wife, because all the thing with it, depending on what you bought, the proceeds would go to different organizations. So like the patch that I had bought for my wife, the proceeds went to Planned Parenthood.
Some proceeds went to the Trevor Project. Some went to the NGCP. There's a sticker I saw that I kind of like, but it's only in a 2-pack. It says, "Cool girls like science."
I like that one.
Yeah.
What's that, Girl Gang?
Government Girl Gang. Yeah.
Dope.
Benefits go to Emily's list on that one.
There was the pins too that just had positive messages.
Just be nice.
Just be nice.
Make kindness cool. Those go to ACLU. I also bought the postcards.
Because it's very easy to, and I was actually discussing it with Ross because I was commending him on making a cool project.
Yeah.
And because it's really easy, and you could sell a ton of them by just printing fuck Trump on a patch. Boom, there you go.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It's like,
This is stupid. Let's make fun of it. Hella dumb. Whatever. But like putting positive messages, I think, is something that's way more constructive, a better use. It just makes me feel better knowing that like it's going to a good cause, and also like it's a happy thing. It's just it's uplifting instead of just negative and aggressive. Like it's still funny. Like I'm down with funny. But like I bought the pin from Jamie Noguchi that says "Fight on Truth, Cultivate Knowledge," and if you line that up, the F-U-C-K.
oh, I know. I didn't even see that.
It spells fuck.
Didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Oh, X-rated.
I know.
I bought one of Jamie's Winnie the Pooh pins.
I really
His honey
was
bear.
just staring at that pin board because I couldn't decide which one I wanted, but I knew I couldn't afford all three. But the guys from Super Art Fight are rad. They treat us almost like they think like we're friends almost. It's kind of cool. They have joined us a couple times on the show in the past, and seeing them when they make their yearly trek up to Connecticut.
I'm glad they always do. They are cool fucking dudes. Like Brendan, Jamie, Marty, Mike, like all those guys are fucking rad.
And they put on a great show every year.
They really do. It's always so entertaining. Everyone in the audience gets hyped up. Like if you haven't seen a Super Art Fight show, do that. Check out their podcast. Check out their Facebook page. It is badass.
They just crank out
The
content.
finished canvases get sold to fans, and the money goes to charity.
Those dudes raise so much fucking money.
And like we didn't even, because Colin and I missed the main Super Art Fight show, just the Super Art Fight, contest where it's actual bouts, one-on-one.
In the costumes and characters.
Yeah, and the characters. But we made it to Unleashed on Saturday.
And it was a madhouse.
It's just a madhouse. They filled, the ballroom B or whatever it's called, like the second largest panel room in the place.
I think that was A.
A, yeah, I can't
Because the other
remember.
one was BC combined.
Right. And they did a couple bouts. It was raunchy. It was crude. It was great.
There was 400 people in that room.
They raised a shitload of money too, because their social media manager Emily was doing a fundraiser. I don't have the details of it, but they were raising.
I believe it was like a race. Or, like a
they
marathon.
were raising money based on like dares. It was like, if you pay us enough money, we'll do what you ask us to do, which is very simple in concept, and it was also very. It was like perfect in execution.
Chalmers took a chop from a local pro wrestler.
Yep. Did you see the aftermath picture that he posted?
The
Good
the next
lord.
Day. Still had like a welt.
God. But like it got like, and it was during an Unleashed show, so it got a little crude, but it was like, how much will it take for me to draw a dick on your head? And then like it went from there, drawing things on bodies and raising a ton of money, like tons of money. How much? Like I think at one point they had $300 something just based on dares. Like can I chop you? Can I? Can you twerk on stage?
Twerk contest.
Yeah, they had Mike Rocco teach Ross how to twerk.
Yeah.
Which not only does that take balls, but it's also like it's commendable because they didn't have to do that. They could have just been like, buy our merch. Oh, hey, we're raising money for this funds.
It just seems like they have such a good time entertaining people.
Yep.
Like
even when their shows kind of put at a weird time, like with because the regular Art Fight show was like Friday afternoon at like 1 or 1:30.
1:30.
Like,
yeah.
I still had 3 hours of work left.
Yeah.
Like
it was a bummer to have to miss that one.
yeah. And then the Unleashed show, which historically in the past it was always beautiful, was normally later on Saturday, and then it would normally be upstairs in one of the panel rooms up there.
When we walk in the room, there's still some daylight out.
Yep.
And then when we leave, it's nighttime.
And there's fireworks. In the past, there was fire, and there were supposed to be fireworks on Saturday. I don't know if they got rained out, but
No, I think they were.
but like we would come out to see fireworks, and it was always magic. And but like this year, like Unleashed was at 4:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday, which it wasn't too early, but it was an interesting time. We got in there late too. Like we were busy talking with people, and then we got in pretty late, but we still managed to snag some decent seats to see our pals put on a really cool show and raise a ton of money.
So this is on account of the convention closing earlier than they used to. ConnectiCon used to be open until midnight, or later, and they stopped doing that. And they close at like 7 now. The dealers are down at 7. The Marriott will stay open until 2 a.m. But that's because that's just basically the game room, and so you could go game over there. But like the stuff that you still want to do, you want to keep going to panels. They would have panels last all night long, but those end really early now. So like you bought your pass to go to a show that 2 years ago was 14 hours long for one day and is now 9 hours long. And they try to cover that with you can go to the city and do stuff. There's the convivial experience.
Oh, yeah.
You can go to Nix's, or you can go to the Spalio Theater, or you can go to the Russian Lady. And for some people, that's fine, and that works out for them. But I'm not good at bars. I don't drink. I'm not comfortable in nightclubs. It's not things I go to do.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm antisocial. I'm just not comfortable in that environment. Mm-hmm. I'm not a bar person. I don't drink. And also, I'm a weirdo. So what
the hell am I doing here?
I come to the convention to be around other weirdos, right? And so then when you say, well, hey, go to this nightclub, across the way. It's like, but there's normies in there. I paid my ticket to get away from them, as an escape. And now I have to go hang out with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not my thing. And maybe I just want to stay in the convention. Maybe if that gets stay open later. On the same note, to vary this opinion, maybe I should open up and get out a little bit and experience these things.
Some year it might be fun to go to one of these things.
Like, if the timing worked out, in the past, Adam Warrock performed at the convention center, but he also had a show, at a couple of venues around the city, of where if I didn't have something to do at the convention center, yeah, I'd probably want to go see Adam Warrock. Mm-hmm. So I'd go to whatever venue he's at. That would draw me out. Which, if I was a bit more open-minded, then that would be a good excuse to maybe go try and experience these things that I'm not comfortable with, to try and get me comfortable with it. It's like we started this episode with have an open mind to try and experience what's out there. I probably have to apply the same thing to myself instead of just sit here and complain about it. Be like, oh, I don't want. We'll just leave it at the convention center. You stay open longer. It's like, well, maybe just give it a shot and go experience some new stuff.
Sounds like that's what we're doing next year. Going to the Russian Lady.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Whatever. It was rad, though. Overall, convention was... I'm bummed that, talking about it so much, I just want it to happen again. I'm bummed that it felt like it just flew by. It flew by, mostly because normally we used to get all of Friday and all of Saturday, whereas I only got an hour of Friday and then all of Saturday. And by the end of Saturday, it's just wiped. It's even if I wanted to do more, I just didn't have the energy. But I'm bummed it's over. It sucks. We got to wait another year for it. I mean, we do have Boston coming up in less than a month,
that's right.
Which should prove to be rad. New venue, new feel, I guess. It's been anyways. But ConnectiCon was sweet. I know we normally do the letter grades. As far as grading is concerned this year, I'd give it, and I always make excuses for my grades, not any fault of the convention, but mostly just because I only got a day out of it. I'd give it a solid B, almost borderline, almost just under a B plus for me.
I'm gonna give it an A. Man, that Friday night, I know we weren't there for the whole time, but that evening, it wasn't even necessarily the convention.
That was great, yeah.
Hanging with Vicky, hanging with the Art Fight guys, that meant a lot. That was a lot of. That was
It was needed.
some of the most fun I've had going
Mhm.
out in like a long time.
Because we took the work to make friends with them.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's so much fun to be surrounded by like-minded people, outgoing, nerdy, friendly
Mm-hmm.
people that just can just hang out, just have a good time just by totally being themselves.
Mhm.
We all have very similar interests, talking wrestling, talking New Japan, like just hanging out, getting food and you know, shooting baskets on the arcade machines.
Mhm.
Like that was such a fun night. Like I can't have asked for anything more from ConnectiCon. It's a perfect score.
I'm gonna go with a B+. There's some things that could have been a little bit better, but at the same time, there's enough that they did right. And if something did go wrong, it's usually things they couldn't really have helped, and I'm okay with that. I accept it. There might be some hiccups or some shuffle steps along the way, but overall, I had a good time. There's things I wish they could hype better and have more publicity out there and try and get a bigger draw.
Yeah.
Like, if more people showed up to the charity auction, then they could put better stuff out there. If more people knew what it was and when it was happening and what could be offered ahead of time. It's like, well, having a Guy Gilchrist print is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had an original piece, would be even better. But you need enough people there to be impressed and want an original piece,
Mm-hmm.
to want to fight over it with their dollars. Compared to like being like, well, that's a print. You could buy this table with the rest of the prints. It's like, what's the difference between, it's going to charity instead of just paying him money. So, if that was like, had a better build up, because I love auctions. I have a problem with auctions. I love auctions.
I think you should maybe get in touch and potentially run it.
The woman that's doing it has been doing it for so long. I don't think I could take that away.
No
from her.
reason to make that be the default. You know?
I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I did want to make a statement. This has been our opinions, what we've seen, what we saw, what we experienced, what we enjoyed. We've told you things that like we thought were great, things we thought were just okay. But this is all stuff that is straight from us, who we talk to. We're not going to get into third party like, well, I heard this and I saw this on the internet. You can research that for yourself if you want to. There's lots of reviews up. There's also lots of back and forth communication. People who did enjoy something, people did enjoy something. People, they were missing stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you could look up yourself. But I don't want you to feel like we're going to get into that, because I don't want us to be talking about hearsay. So what you've heard is things that we've experienced and things that we enjoyed, and like this was all firsthand. Either I talked to people, like I went and I found Savage, who had made his Metapod armor, and I wanted to get more information about that. So that's who I talked to about that. But like, if someone didn't get their lanyard, I'm sorry, but I was okay with that. And there's a lot of people who have complaints about it, but that's really not what we're addressing here.
Yeah. If that ruined your experience, maybe in the grand scheme of things, let's put things into perspective a little bit better than not having a lanyard when you want one. But again, it's our experiences. It's what we saw at the convention. Ultimately, ConnectiCon was gracious enough to let us report on the show for the 5th year in a row, I believe. So that's what we thought.
We'll have some more pictures up on our Facebook page. I still have some I want to put up on the Instagram, our Instagram page. You could find some of Colin's pictures on Colin's podcast Instagram page.
Yes, the Local Co-op Podcast. Check us out on Facebook. You can see the photos that are attached to our Instagram page. Elko Podcast is the Instagram tag. Yeah.
Is that the official abbreviation name? Because sometimes I say LCO Podcast. Is it Elko? That makes more sense.
I like Elko.
Yeah, Elko Podcast.
The letter L, Co.
Yeah.
Elko. Speaking of which, perhaps I don't know if you guys we have like a crossover episode. I would love to come on and maybe do a little little versus mode cross promotional action on the.
I
on
would
the
love
show.
that.
Um,
By the way, if you don't know what versus mode is, go check out episode 3
3.
of Elko podcast, local
That's
co-op podcast. Features Colin, Ken, and Zach just duking it out.
Thank you.
It
Brutal.
gets intense.
Mm.
Like it's really easy. It could be really easy to fabricate. Like, I am arguing with you. We are having an argument, but like it got heated.
Yeah, I got heated.
Yeah,
I kind of lost it a little bit. It's risky to play those games with your friends.
especially ones who are really good at making a point. But you
Thank
can go.
you for the kind words. Appreciate it.
It's off to a great start. You even got some advice from Brandon Chalmers during the Jamie Noguchi
That was
Noguchi
great.
system
Yeah,
panel.
yeah.
Get some business cards.
Exactly.
That's the plan.
Just get some cards, man. It was funny because as soon as you're talking about getting business cards, I'm sitting there thinking, I forgot my business cards at home.
I have a stack.
Yep. I can always rely on my main man. But ConnectiCon was great. Colin, thank you so much for coming again and devoting 2 hours of your time tonight.
I owe you guys all the thanks
It's
for
a
letting
work
me
night.
come with you.
Oh, yeah,
ConnectiCon
man.
is the best, and I love hanging out with you guys. And I love coming on your show to talk about it. Thanks.
You're a good person. Don't ever let anyone tell you
Not true.
otherwise.
Thank you, though.
But up next for us is going to be Boston.
Ugh, that's gonna be the bomb.
Oh, it's gonna be real good. I don't know why I just said it like that. Someone put that into an audio
I
clip.
want that as my text tone. Real
I
good.
just want to talk through my teeth now. I'm just pumped for. It's like we're like in the heart of con season. Like we got Boston.
Feels great. I'm getting so hyped I might go to Rhode Island. I'm getting that hyped.
Now you-
Freaking
That's
Don't-
all the
don't get that-
time we
that's
have
not
for
how to-
today.
much.
Hey, did you enjoy your coca? We got handed seeds from a tree person.
Little melty, but I got my Korok seed. And
Korok seed.
I debated trading it in for an extra slot in my inventory, but ultimately I ate it.
What was she dressed as?
She was a Korok child thing from the
Is that
Zelda
what it's
game.
called?
I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what they're called. Hold on. Korok.
This is Trish.
No,
Yes.
it's not
Preview- yeah.
Korok.
Previous guest, a friend Trish.
Yeah, it's a Korok. 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 They originated in the Wind Waker, and then they showed up in Breath of the Wild in the latest game. And like because they're hidden, there's like hundreds of them hidden across the universe,
Oh,
the
yeah.
world, hundreds. And whenever you find one, you get a seed, and when you get
Okay.
enough seeds, you can go see like the big one, and you can trade in those seeds for more inventory slots.
Uh-huh. She was having a blast as that character.
Yep.
She looked good. It was a
It
good
was
concept.
It was a lot
and she had a
fun.
link with her too. It was
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
ConnectiCon, thank you for putting on a great show. We will hopefully see you next year. Next up is Boston, and then New York, and then I'm going to be making the trip down to Philly for PAX Unplugged, and then that's it for the year, right? I think that's it, because normally we end with New York.
Yeah. Normally. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be there Friday.
Yeah.
Colin,
Rhode Island doesn't
Colin, we got to
exist.
get you back to New York.
I would love to
Gotta
go.
get you back.
When is it?
October.
Okay, I'm in.
Well, passes are
I'm out.
sold out. But Colin, thanks so much for coming on again. I can't wait for the new episode of Elko to drop tomorrow.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
It's going to be rad. Best of luck to our best pal Ken at Evo this weekend. Hope he kicks ass.
Seriously.
And I guess that's going to do it. I am sufficiently tired, warm, and out of things to say. That is going to be it. So until next time, I have been JR.
I'm Alex.
And I was Colin.
And this has been the longest sign-off in the history of the show. Episode 278 of Opinions May Vary, the ConnectiCon 2017. Colin was just like, God, just stop talking.